I'm Julia Reeves.
And I'm Amik Bhatt. Welcome to SWU News. On today's show, we'll look at COVID and the way it has impacted people and their everyday lives.
First, let's see how universities are handling COVID and social distancing.
Kyle Clady has the story.
In the spring of 2020, Southern Wesleyan University closed down due to the coronavirus pandemic. But as soon as the doors closed, faculty and staff set out to make a plan to reopen the campus safely for the students and faculty.
There have been multiple things. One of them was just rearranging class spaces, and then just some general good practice guidelines, washing your hands. Students, faculty, and staff pitched in and really followed our guidelines well, and that's what's helped us stay face-to-face and safe on campus.
So the barriers, just making sure that behind the counter my staff felt safe, making sure that students felt like, they had some distancing between as well, making sure that we wore our masks. And so obviously the distancing stickers, the seating, like where you can sit, where you can't. So just some of those things were how we, and the layout of the whole room is different.
Another one of the changes implemented here on campus so that we could open safely is the socially distanced and mask wearing in the classroom.
As faculty, we've all had to flex a little bit on things like assignments and deadlines. We make pivots and we make adjustments to make sure that we're in compliance. The last thing that we want to be is out of compliance.
I'm Kyle Clardy for MC SWU.
Thanks, Kyle. It's great to see how campuses are handling COVID.
It looks like colleges are handling COVID well, but how are these students handling these new adjustments?
Brian Roach has reports.
As we know, COVID-19 has impacted our lives for a year now. Since most young adults are returning to schools, universities, jobs, they're all being told to socially distance to a minimum of 6 feet. But how well are schools regulating social distancing, and are they finding it annoying?
Clemson has handled social distancing pretty well. It's cool that students get to pick or can say whether they want to be online or in person based on the comfort level. I know some people who have chosen to stay online because it just works better.
Oh, of course. I mean, as an RA, as just a person who loves community, came here for the community aspect and something that SWU strives itself on so promptly. To have that hit in such a big way with COVID-19 and the effects that takes, where SWU has to then socially distance and follow regulations and guidelines so that we can remain open, so that we do get at least some interaction.
So students believe that schools are regulating social distancing and are finding it annoying, but is it negatively impacting them psychologically?
I definitely think it could, because you have to think about being so far from someone just because of COVID, and that could affect us long term.
As we see it, social distancing is still widely in effect today, and some are finding it an annoyance. But some believe that this can have a negative effect on them psychologically. I am Brian Roach from MC SWU.
Thanks, Brian. We'll be back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Madeline Barrett. I am a Southern Wesleyan graduate, class of 2021. I majored in media communication in a concentration of public relations. I am currently at the reserves at Lake QE here at the sales office. I work with Coldwell Banker Kane. This original position was part-time, and then my supervisor saw my resume and saw all of the things that I've done at Southern Wesleyan, including hosting a number of talk shows, creating an Instagram account for our communications department, and she thought, wow, you just have blown me away with all of these amazing things you've been a part of, and I want to offer you a full-time position here. Southern Wesleyan invested in me, and I got a return on my investment.
COVID has impacted everyone in many ways. One important way that COVID has impacted all of us is psychologically. How does COVID affect our minds?
Here's Kayla Bowen with that story.
It goes without saying that COVID-19 has had an enormous impact on society, but something that is talked about less is the effects that COVID has had on people mentally.
If you're an extrovert and you get all your energy by spending time with people, when you have to quarantine or isolate, you're just done for. Like, where are you getting your energy,
People who are in isolation or quarantine tend to feel more lonely and less motivated to do work and take care of themselves during their isolation. So we know how being in quarantine or isolation can affect us mentally. It can give us anxiety, or it can make us feel lonely or even depressed. So what can we do if we have to go into isolation or quarantine to protect ourselves mentally?
There's kind of the restrictive nature of I feel like I can't go anywhere, or, all my rhythms have been like thrown off. And so to develop some semblance of a routine, even if it's not like the regular way you would do things.
Maintaining some kind of a rhythm can be very important to stay well in quarantine or isolation. Setting alarms and setting aside times for work may help you do this. It's also important to remember to limit screen time, but to try to stay connected with friends through a phone call or a video chat if possible. This is Caleb Bowen from MC SWU.
Thanks, Caleb. COVID has also made it hard for college students to find jobs and internships.
Grayson Schrader reports on the struggle facing job seekers.
In the times of a global pandemic, it's been a difficult and bizarre time for students rising into adulthood to pursue careers in their designated fields. Many are having a hard time finding desired internships to give them the experience they need when graduating from college.
This semester, I definitely am not doing things in my internship capacity that I wanted to or was expecting to do. I was wanting to start my career in journalism, hoping to get into news production. Most of their responses were, yeah, we're just not doing internships right now because of COVID. I really wish I could have gotten in the newsroom this semester.
Although it has been difficult for some, I've been lucky enough to intern here at Alive Wesleyan in production. Others have also been able to land internships in the past year.
Honestly, it hasn't been that difficult to find an internship. I feel like through working with my hobbies, I've been able to gain a lot of experience and build up a pretty good portfolio. So once I did have the opportunity to find a place that was willing to accept someone who was still a student, I felt like I was pretty prepared. I'm a little bit concerned about finding a job, but I'm pretty confident in my skills, and I know eventually I'll get to where I want to be.
Hopefully, as vaccinations are distributed and time progresses, the future generation can easily transition into the workplace with fewer hurdles. This is Grayson Schrader reporting for MC SWU.
Thanks, Grayson. Hopefully things will go back to normal so students can get back on track.
We'll be right back.
What's up, Slasher? Hey, Slasher.
While the pandemic has been hard on all of us, it's good to look at the positive side of things.
Here's Michaela with a story on the positive impacts of COVID-19.
In March 2020, the whole world was forced to shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It seems like all you hear about from the news and the people around you is negativity about the pandemic. Shedding light on positive things that have come from it is important.
Some of the most ugly or most brutal times can be the times where you can have the greatest glory stories or see God work the most.
If you just focus on the negative, then you'll never actually move forward. We're making headway in medicine. We're doing a lot of new things with technology.
You get a chance to talk to people because of advances in technology, but that face-to-face communication and connection is greatly impacted. Technology gives me a chance to talk to my family, which I'm so grateful for during the pandemic. Bye, Dad. Love you.
I was able to dig deeper into the Word and into a more spiritual, prayerful life. It's brought us closer together because we all have to work together in order to stay safe, keep this campus open. If we can just look at what we have here and take the positives out of it, that's a little piece of the world just put back together.
The pandemic has brought pain and tragedy for many, but others have chosen to push through and remain positive. For some, it has been a time for spiritual, mental, physical, or emotional growth. Remembering to be positive no matter what is going on in the world is important to move on with life. This is Michaela Carr reporting for MC SWU.
Thanks, Michaela. That's a great perspective.
Many have struggled to stay active during the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, it's important for us to remember the importance of regular exercise.
Here's John with the story.
When it comes to sports, exercise, and physical activity, it can be hard to keep yourself motivated. With classes, homework, and chapel, it can be hard to give up your free time to exercise.
It's really easy to get into working out. You have so many resources that you can access. Like whether you're in college and you have access to a weight room or to an exercise room in your dorm. There's even tons of apps that you can get that would help you get started.
The exercise rooms and all their equipment are free to use and accessible to all students here in the residence halls.
Yeah, so in Jordan Hilson, we have two different workout rooms. And on the male side, on the second floor, we have a weight room. It's got dumbbells up to 50 pounds. It has some different weighted medicine balls, and it has an actual tension machine with some different weights on it. And then on the other side of the building, same place, second floor, but on the female side, it's an aerobic room, and it is 2 treadmills and an elliptical and some yoga mats. Both rooms have a TV, both rooms are climate controlled, and so, yeah, pretty neat setup.
Exercise is for everyone, and everyone has the ability to do it. And while you're here on campus, I encourage you to use the equipment and space here while you still can. This is John Hofstetter from MC SWU.
Good reminder, John. It's always important to be reminded to take care of our physical health, especially in times like this.
Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, what can I get you?
Can I get a salad?
Yes, you may. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay.
We got a CBD 19.
Help! Help! Help!
Thanks for staying with us. Here's Kyle Clady with the weather. Kyle?
Thanks, Julia and Amik. Let's take a look at the national 5-day forecast, where there's a cold front moving in from Canada, which will cause us to see a drastic drop in temperatures throughout the week. There's also a front that is moving from the northwest coast that is showing the potential for heavy rain and maybe even some snow. This front will continue moving across the country throughout the week as it moves into the Midwest on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the front will then be passing into Texas and heading towards the East Coast. Then on Thursday, the front splits as the rain reaches the southeast coast, and the snow from this front will impact the northeast coast. Finally, on Friday, we will see the original front really impact the East Coast with a mix of rain and snow, while another front is also popping up once again on the northwest coast. With these dropping temperatures, Julia and Amik, I think you might want to bring out your scarves for this week.
Thanks, Kyle. COVID has had a huge impact on the sports world, canceling several sports seasons and championships. Here's Lydia Perry with the story.
Our world in the world of sports came to a screeching halt in 2020. All professional and college sports came to a standstill and were eventually canceled. The pandemic took away watching and playing our favorite sports, but for many people, it took away more than that. It took away their community and sense of camaraderie. Sports are a big part of so many lives. It's how people join community and connect with others.
It's tough not to be like, hey, we're going to the game Friday night, or we're going to the game tonight, big game, that's part of the experience of being at a school is you get to experience those things, and so when you can't go with your friends, then it makes it really difficult.
Our favorite sports are back. We may not be quarantined, but there are still lasting effects of this virus in the world of sports and specifically on our athletes.
Kids, just not really knowing the uncertainty of what is going to happen. Are we going to play? Do we have a game? Why are we even doing this? How long is it going to last? So we started to notice real quickly that the guys were a little bit out of sorts.
It wasn't necessarily a team or even where teams become like family. It was kind of just a group of guys at first that were on a team together, but we didn't have that partnership yet.
Spectators and athletes alike are all looking forward to a time without COVID. I'm Lydia Perry from SWU.
Thanks, Lydia. Todd was served as SWU's president for over 10 years and recently has stepped down.
Here's Lydia again with a tribute to our former president, Todd Voss.
Dr. Todd Voss arrived as SWU's president in 2011. Ever since then, he has diligently and selflessly served the SWU community. He has made an impact on so many students and faculty's lives here at SWU. How has he impacted your life?
Not only is he president, administrator, but a friend. Every time I meet with him, he wants to know how I'm doing, and he ends by praying for me. So one of the great things about him is that he's my friend.
I would say his impact is something that will carry a lot of significance for the rest of my life, just in the way that I've watched him lead this campus, the way that I've watched him lead others, the way that I've watched him pour into his home, and the way that I've watched him pour into his personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And so that to me is a great area of impact.
Dr. Voss is a friend to so many here. He truly cares for and puts students first. He's a champion for our university, our students, and our faculty. Here is his legacy.
He sees something and then he makes it happen. He's a visionary.
Thank you, President Voss, for your hard work and dedication to this campus. Your joyful presence will truly be missed. I'm Lydia Perry, reporting from SWU.
Thanks, Lydia. Todd Voss will be missed.
Yeah, Dr. Voss really expanded our media program to what it is today.
And I heard that he handmade this desk by himself.
Wow.
Back to the weather. You might want to start bundling up this week. There's a cold front coming in from Canada, and it's going to be really cold this week.
Well, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time.